We're here from Bartlesville, Oklahoma at the Bruin Field House, and it is the GAC Weekly After Dark with a live studio audience, no less. I'm Joey McWilliams. This is Michael Westbrook, my longtime friend and broadcast partner, and today has been a fun day at the GAC. I mean, it's day two, usually a good day anyway. We've seen comebacks, we've seen overtime twice, and we've seen some upsets. So it's a big day at the Great American Conference. Let's talk about it.
We didn't get that applause sign on in time whenever you introduced me and had my name for the applause from the crowd. But, well, we had 10 extra minutes of basketball. We had 2 overtime games. That certainly was a lot of fun. Our first game did not go to overtime, but it did not disappoint either. 94-90, Oklahoma Baptist with the win over East Central. Top 4 seeds are going to advance to the semifinals in the men's bracket.
Yeah, and 184 points scored. So you're right. Definitely no disappointment there. Jaron Jackson has 22 points for East Central, and Cameron Talley, Tyler Arnold each have 21. It just wasn't enough. 6 players score in double figures for Oklahoma Baptist, and it was just a back-and-forth battle.
Well, we were looking for, the potential of a record day for Cameron Talley. Would have had to go into the 60-point range to get to 2,000 for his career. Comes up a little bit short there. And Jarius Hicklin, what a surprise in a sense. 20 points for Hicklin, but that's also what he did in the regular season against East Central. But he's a young guy out there, and he really made his presence felt here tonight.
It was a strong play from Deshaun Lowry also in the lane. Now, he comes away with 10 points, 6 rebounds on the day, but he really was a force on the inside, and he changed the way that East Central had to defend all the way around, and he made a way for the other players to really get their points up.
And Coach Aker told us that he felt like Lowry was the best post player in the league in the month of February. He's carried that over into March.
The next game on the day was another men's game. It was our final quarterfinal men's game, and it was the first game that went into overtime. Monticello taking on Henderson State, and back and forth, it looked like a game that Monticello had in hand really from start until almost the very end.
Yeah, UAM led by 12 towards the start of the second half. About a minute in, they were up by 12 in that second half. And then it turned out to be a great day for Reddy's fans there in Arkadelphia because Henderson comes back. They get a basket at the very end of regulation from Raekwon Rogers, and that was just an impressive play to tie the game up. And then in overtime, the Reddies took over, outscoring their opponent 18-12 in overtime.
It really was at the very end. I mean, Monticello played solid throughout, but you come to the very end of the contest, and Henderson State put together a 13-2 run to end it, down 8 points with 1:28 left, scored the final 8 points, and then took that run another 8 points into the overtime session, scored the first 8 points there, and it was really over from the very beginning. You have to credit what Henderson State did and the fact that the team never gave up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side, you got to give credit to KJ LaShore for his efforts today, 29 points. That ties a tournament high this year anyways. Kevin Buckingham went for 29 yesterday, just 11 points off from a single-game record. Harding player had 40 a couple of years ago.
Talked about Raekwon Rogers. He had 22 points and 15 boards on the day. The overtime, the first overtime of the day for us is game number 3 for us. The third quarterfinal on the women's side of the bracket also went to overtime, and it wound up being Henderson State once again coming away with a victory, 78-74, the final over Southern Nazarene after 5 extra minutes.
And I'll say this, with so much emphasis put on the three-point shot these days, it was really an interesting game to see because Southern Nazarene, they like to pound the ball inside. They got that high-low screen with the 2 post players, and Miriam Garcia, what a day that she had today. Abby Nehus, it was fun to watch those 2 play. They combined for 27 points, a few block shots as well, Joey.
Oh, my goodness. Nehus comes away officially with 8 blocks. I'm not so sure she didn't have a couple more in there, but we're not going to take away with what Doug Self does in stat work.
Yeah, but 2 more, we could have got her to the triple.
That's true. 2 more.
11 for her with 8 block shots.
Well, Southern Nazarene, it was a hard-fought game, but the top seed loses, and that's really been the trend, that the higher seed comes away with a loss here in the GAC tournament on the women's side. We said all 4 men's teams' top seeds won. Not the same thing on the women's side, and Southern Nazarene, even though it was a 4-5 game, that 4 was a top seed, and they wound up coming up with an L.
And 6 players in double figures for Henderson. That was really a sight to see as well. Visiting with Jill Thomas after the game, she essentially said, it was the wildest game she's seen all year. In fact, when we asked for her initial comments, she said she needed a few more minutes to dissect it a little bit. One of the Jones sisters did foul out of the game, Pink, but Blue, she also said it was just a really wild game.
And Pink had 10 points before she fouled out, and she did it in a limited amount of time, but she was able to get her points in there. Carrington Whaley, really the player of the game, as
Absolutely.
she stepped in and came alive in the second half and was the answer to the big post players for Southern Nazarene.
Yeah, and I like the fact only on 7 shots, she made 5 of those for her 12 points, but she also had a double-double, 13 rebounds to go along with those 12 points.
So that brings us to the final game of the day and another big game, and it wound up being another upset. Arkansas Monticello in the GAC tournament for the first time since 2017 picked up a win in the GAC tournament for the first time since 2015. Now 2-5 overall in the tournament. Coach Greg Long and his team, he had those players ready to go, and they played with an intensity for 40 minutes.
It's a signature win for Coach Long right out of the gate for Monticello in his first season, because it's a Southwestern team that was tournament champions a year ago, and I know a lot of those players graduated, but still they have the same head coach who's picked up more than 200 wins in her career. She had the team ready to play, and Monticello just came out with some really electrifying defense throughout the night.
63-55 was the final there. It went back and forth. Southwestern had its chances. Monticello had its chances. Ultimately, in the end, you have to give it to the intense play for the Cotton Blossoms.
And Bernicia Tidwell, 19 points to lead her team.
She did, and she the GAC Defensive Player of the Year, and she showed it today in Bartlesville. So we had the semifinal Saturday. Go ahead.
What's up with the Defensive Player of the Year leading his or her team points scored? We saw that with Micah Spate yesterday for Southern Nazarene.
That's true. They're deciding they're multifaceted players.
I guess so.
They can do more than just one thing. Don't try to put them in a box, Michael.
Yeah.
That's what it is. No.
All right. Well,
anyway,
create another award for them. Then, the
multifaceted player. Well, the semifinal Saturday is going to look like this. First game of the day is at noon, and it is a men's game. Southern Nazarene, the top seed in the tournament on the men's side, taking on Oklahoma Baptist. Bit of a rivalry right there, and that'll be our first matchup of the day. Then second matchup is also the men's game. It will feature second-seeded Southeastern taking on third-seeded Henderson State, a game that was played just about a couple of weeks ago. It was a D2 showcase game of the week in the NCAA, and Southeastern got the better of Henderson State in that matchup.
Yep, looking forward to that matchup. I'll have to go back and look at the numbers, but it's a rare situation here, 9 years in the league, that we see the top 4 teams on the men's team all advance to the semifinals. So, coming in, everybody has kind of said, well, any team could win. At the same time, it did seem like down the stretch here, there was a little bit of separation with some of the top tier teams in the conference. And so we did see that in the opening round.
It will not be the top seeds on the women's side of the bracket. One of the higher seeds won, and that was the top seed overall. Southeastern will take on Henderson State at 5:45. That's a 1 versus 5. And then for the first time in the history of the GAC tournament, it will be a 6-7 matchup on the women's side of the bracket. Monticello taking on Arkansas Tech. That is an 8 o'clock tentative start time.
The Golden Suns and the Cotton Blossoms in
There
that
you go.
one. That should be a fun one, and a lot of green out there on the court as well.
And those teams split during the regular season, so should be another good matchup. And Bartlesville, always a good place to see that. So it's been another full day here in Bartlesville. GAC Weekly After Dark. I enjoy this.
Hey, and tomorrow we send one All-American out. We bring another one in with us to work with us.
That's exactly right. We've had fun with Hayden Pretty, and she will give way to Haley Tucker tomorrow, who's going to be with us for our broadcast over the course of the next 2 days.
Looking forward to it.
All right. We wrap things up here then from Bartlesville. Thanks for watching. And thanks to our studio audience for being in here and being a part of this. Listen, I encourage you, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know some of you are watching us right now on Facebook, and I appreciate that. But the YouTube channel is Midwest Sports Net, and we would appreciate it if you would like and share and subscribe to this channel today. Now's a good time. Now's a good time.
Yes, do it now, because it's almost not today.
It's almost not today.
The next day, yeah.
We will be back on the air with GAC basketball tomorrow at noon, so tune in for that as well. So for Michael Westbrook, I'm Joey McWilliams. Thanks again for watching this broadcast, the GAC Weekly After Dark. Have a great night.